All right, so this is a live right now. I just came across it. This guy is an attorney. His channel's Uncle Artie's Bar and Grill. And this guy on here is talking about Cyrax, and I'm not I'm not sure this might be um, Michael hacking on here. But he's on this panel talking about the whole Cyrax situation, and I just randomly came across it. I haven't heard it yet, so like let's just see what it's about.
Oh, we got a bunch of gang tats.
That's not gang tips. That's the cream of a young and ambitious prisoner.
Let me tell you something. That's a real 339 Lloyd Street cripple gang.
That's going to be I bet you that's washed off. That's going to wash off next month when he takes his semi-annual shower.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he doesn't take showers. I'll go over that in a second.
They didn't delouse him?
No, you don't even understand. Nothing went our way. Artsec, yeah, William, we ordered him as soon as he got arrested. We had the FOIA requests in, and then again, I was like deep undercover, so I got all the Cyrax side of the phone calls. Marty got his side, and then we tried to splice them together. But when he was in that fight, he said there was 8 people attacking him, and I was like, well, call the police. I'm sure you guys all heard it. It's been out there for about a day and a half now, 2 days.
Yeah.
But there was only one person out there. So, and the first thing I said is, he's never going to make it to court on Monday because they're definitely going to have to, they're going to spot him a mile away. I mean, let alone the fact that he's got bed bugs flying off of him. I mean, he's never going to make it. They're not going to contaminate the police cars and the holding cell and then an actual cell, because they take them straight to county there. There's 3, they service.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing when Cyrax went to jail. I was shocked they had the arraignment scheduled for the next morning that same night. Like, I thought for sure that they were going to take him to medical first, and because he was a known 43, give him mental medication, and like have a doctor check him out, and like all the bug bites on him, like put some kind of cream on him or something to deal with the bugs. I completely agree with Michael Hacking on that. I'm shocked that he got pushed through so early. That's why I was saying in that initial video, I think it's gonna be Monday at the earliest. So yeah, I totally agree with Michael on that. Like that's spot on, man.
3 different area codes. So he actually went to the courthouse just to get his magistrate bond so he could get released. It wasn't even his arraignment. His arraignment's next Monday, which just happens to be the same day he's getting arraigned on a restraining order renewal. And I don't know if he read his release probationary terms. Actually, I'm pretty sure he didn't, since they said no internet, since that's what caused the entire incident. But he's streaming on Facebook crying. Imbecile.
There's
a lot.
I can confirm something for everybody. The state of Ohio did try to send his ass back to Michigan because we didn't want him back here, but somehow he stuck underneath the fucking water of Flint to get back in here.
Yeah, you want me to tell you how? Because Sally put her fat ass there to block it so she could keep her $800 Social Security check coming for him. I'm sorry to say, but I unfortunately have too much inside information. When he got bailed out, she goes, all I'm going to say, and this is like after her crying, screaming, yelling, oh, woe is me, little Cyrax getting taken away. She goes, I'll tell you what, for $304 I had to put up for that $2,500 bond, he better not even think of freaking going to Australia or trying to get out of here. If I lose that money, I'll kick his ass.
Wow. This is a really, really insightful stream. I'm glad I came across this. Michael Hacking's dropping gold right here. So I was wrong. I thought it was $400. That's what I had heard from some of the trolls on Discord. It's $800, and that's also funny. Like, Sally wants him there because of that Social Security check. So that might be a reason why we're not seeing Cyrax getting kicked out. Is he, she's just controlling all the money he's getting from Social Security. That's not really surprising, and I kind of figured that this whole time. And I know other people have alluded to that, and like I know I've seen it in the comments that from my other videos that people have said, "Oh yeah, Sally just gets the Social Security checks," but I didn't realize it's $800. So like that's like double what I thought it was.
Wow, there's somebody who really loves their kid.
Take a life insurance policy out on them and find a way and bloop.
Yeah, they better take a life
Alive
insurance policy out on them. I mean, I don't know if you guys like know what's going on, but I mean, there's 3 or 4 communities that I don't agree with off YouTube behavior, but they're threatening the landlord. They're telling her they're going to rip the siding off the house if they don't kick them out. That's how that whole fight started. They've been sending waves of people there to fight them. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the guy that went there and protested. He agitated, or God, I guess you call it. God,
I know. He had a sign up, and
he antagonized and agitated Cyrax, and of course Cyrax is a freaking mental midget, and of course he's going to react.
Right, but
I mean, what else do you expect?
Right, but that like 4 nights before that, Chicken Andy and Blade had a Winnebago of like 7 guys showed up at 2 a.m, running around the house, live streaming. Oh my God, we're going to see a wild Cyrax. They bought Hot Pockets to microwave, to have Sally microwave. 2 a.m, they're doing this. And then in the meantime, like 2 or 3 other communities had his friend Jake and a couple other of his, people that know him, anybody they could find that were friends with him on Facebook that lived in Akron, any relative they could find. They went and got like photos of the house, and they gave away all of their patio furniture, their deck, fencing. Like they just told people, just go up, just like I just don't even worry about it. Sally almost had her car stolen 3 times. Had a guy back up, put it on a dolly, and almost like drove away with it. Now, personally, from somebody that used to like hoof different things, I've never in my life would I ever just go up, take a car. I don't care if the title's in it or not. I want to see the owner sign it. I want to know what's going on. So that sounds a little hokey to me, but it did happen. I mean, the people did show up, whether they were actually not real people to buy the car, but subscribers that were just trying to play up the whole deal. But I mean, and I'm not sympathizing with him at all. Believe me, I'm in as deep as anybody, and I'm torturing the hell out of him. But this kid, I don't know how much they think they can put him through. I mean, they're just calling him all day long. Every day they just call him 24 hours a day. They call him all day, all night, call the landlord. Even now, the landlord shut the Wi-Fi off so he can't go on the internet. And they said, not good enough. Throw the family out, or we're not going to stop. We'll take your siding. We'll take the siding off that house. We'll burn it down. We don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't think that the Wi-Fi is off in the house. Like, if it is, that's so if Cyrax was live last night at 2 a.m., that would have been, sometime after business hours started today. So 8 a.m. Ohio time, it would have to be at that time or later it was shut off, because he had internet last night and he was on the internet. He went on his Xbox like after he got out of jail. So I don't know if I believe Michael on that. I do believe that it's getting there. I do believe that, like maybe it's going to be like first of the month, when the Spectrum bill comes in, no more internet. I think that's a possibility, but I don't think he's off it yet. I think that's a little premature comment from Michael Hacking, but I do agree with everything he's saying for the most part.
And they're doing it on
how much is too far? I mean, I'm not siding with the troll or feeling sorry for him, but still, when is too far, too far?
I asked that. I got swatted. Luckily, I talked to West Springfield Police all the time when it happened, so they knew there was nothing going on. But I mean, yeah, it's like it's one of those situations. There's a couple channels that I'm not going to say who, but after the fight happened, they texted me immediately. They're like, Mike, this has to stop. Like this is not. This, like, somebody's really going to get hurt. Somebody's going to end up getting hurt or hurting someone. This is too far. This is like whatever. And it was so scary. Even like, whatever. I mean, Barty's really not. He's not what everybody thinks he is. He really isn't. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like him, especially now, but I can tell you, I know him from way, way back when he was in different things, and he's really not like this. That community, I'm telling you, they just want blood. They want more blood. They think that they're like telling him, like, you should have kicked the door in, gone upstairs and killed him. He's like, oh, killed him? They're like, yeah, killed him. He deserves to die. He's like, that still comes with a life sentence in prison, right? Like, what are you talking about?
Premeditated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Michael on that. Like, I think Marty enjoys having Cyrax around. Like, personally, like, I don't think Marty enjoys seeing Cyrax talk to kids. I don't think Marty enjoys, like, the Goblin, just running rampant on things. But I do think that, for the most part, like, I don't agree on a personal level with going and interacting with a locale, any locale. Like, I'm not a violent person to begin with. I don't have a criminal record. I don't believe in that type of behavior on a personal level. But, if someone else went and, did something, that's on them. I don't condone it, but I'm not going to, like, actively stop you. I'm just reporting on these things. Like, I'm reporting on Michael Hacking's little interview right now. And, like does CNN or Fox or MSNBC agree with the war in Russia? No, absolutely not. But like, they're going to report on it every single day, and I will too. I don't agree with Cyrax's actions, and because of that, like, I'm going to make make that known to, like, whoever's willing to listen and cares. But I'm not going to go send people there or do anything like that. I think that's too much, and I agree with Michael on that.
I mean, God, nothing's ever. It's just not. The crazy guys in the Winnebago, I don't even know who they are. They're not even in our community. It was this guy Chicken Andy and Blade. They're like, all of a sudden, Cyrax is like a legend now, dude. He's on channels that have 300,000-400,000 viewers, for Christ's sakes. I mean, it's getting out of control.
I mean, how long before Cyrax takes it and unalives himself? I mean, it's just, how much can one person take? And I don't wish that on him, and I'm not suggesting that he is going to or whatever. I agree. How much can one person take of that?
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, just think about this. I mean, like, literally, I'm not even kidding you. People are attacking that house, and I'm not saying that they're doing anything that is really going to make a difference, but they're, like, trying to steal the cable box off the house, trying to disconnect the electricity. I mean, how many times can you hear a crowbar on the side of your house wrenching something off, or hear your siding getting pulled, or you hear your patio furniture on your deck sliding across? You run out, and yet, another 2 chairs are gone, or whatever it is. They took the dog's, little cage. They took all the dog's toys on the front porch. There was like a bunch of fencing behind the house that it wasn't put up, but it was all stacked. It was brand new. It was going to be put up in the back to, like, fence the backyard in. They just started to grab that and, like, try to, like, run away with it. And it was obviously kids, because then they couldn't carry it. So they just dropped it. I mean, Sally's car got hooked up 3 times to a dolly, and they called the police, and they just, I don't look. I live in Massachusetts, where they, it's like, the communist state of Massachusetts. So the police work differently around here. I don't know how Ohio works, but they certainly don't take. I mean, the fact that he got arrested, after all, I mean, they've been out there literally over 125 times for calls at that house in less than 6 months.
Wow.
125 calls, and not from the house. I mean, people calling on the house, and also, even one of them was a hazmat SWAT. They had to close the entire street off because there was supposedly powder in an envelope, and Sally was going to die in 10 minutes. I mean, wouldn't somebody just put in, like, a pen and a magnifying glass to this if there was, like, one common theme that kept coming up every time they said, do you have any idea who's doing this?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Michael on that last part. But, at the same time, Sally's being greedy. If the only reason Cyraxx is still living there is because she wants his $800 a month in Social Security, that's why I said in that my little response to Cyraxx's Facebook post, he needs to take responsibility, and same goes for Sally. I know it sucks, it's gotta suck to be living on a fixed income like Sally is. But Cyraxx has been emotionally and socially stunted because he lives and with her and has never been forced to grow up. He needs to go. And, ideally it would be, some kind of group home, where he could be monitored or, until he could learn how to live on his own. Or, Sally and Ed, find him a dirt cheap apartment to live in, and he can't afford internet until he finds a way to make a paycheck. But Cyraxx he's like what you call terminally online. He will keep putting himself out there, even if it puts himself in danger, and even if it puts himself in a negative position. He will keep placing himself out there, and I know those things people have done to him are negative. I wouldn't want those things to happen to me, and I wouldn't want them to happen to anyone watching this video. If one of you guys made a video and one of the real exuberant trolls went after you for it, I would feel terrible for that, just because your position was different from theirs. He's absolutely right about that. It's also it's a huge waste of police resources to be sending the cops out there all the time. There's better stuff you can do. I can kind of understand stealing a lawn chair. It's just funny, but because you can go to Big Lots and buy those real cheap plastic ones for $5. But the other stuff, I really don't agree with. 100 cop calls in 6 months. That's why they're not going out there anymore, dude. It's not because they don't believe anything's happening. It's because every time they go out there, nothing happens because these people don't put up cameras. Cyraxx is responding to all of these random phone numbers that are all fake accounts. If I don't recognize a number on my phone, I don't accept the phone call. I just had a phone call for a job interview today, and I let it go to voicemail, and then I called them back after they left a voicemail. I do not answer unknown numbers. And if I get texts from unknown people, I don't respond. That's just the way it is. It's just the 21st century, and you could say that in schools today, those types of things should be taught in classes. The same as, I think they should teach basic finance in schools today. And some kind of basic class on how the legal system works. All those things are neglected in schools, and the schools don't change with the times. So I don't agree with that. If you struggle to change with the 21st century, that's got to be a real struggle. But that's just 21st century internet etiquette and modern technology etiquette.
The fact that all the other channels just live stream it. I mean, they live stream giving away the things on the house, and live stream calls torturing the landlord, torturing family members, torturing people. I mean, and totally doxing them. He just lists off 15, 20 people that he, went through and looked up and did whatever, you know what I mean? And, however people do that, I don't know, supposedly, so I wouldn't know how to do that. But bottom line is that, they do a skip trace on all his Facebook friends, and they pass it out to the chat and say, go have at it. You think people in Canada or Europe or wherever, you think they care about the police? No. They call them, and that's the thing, they're in different time zones. They call them all night long, nonstop. I'll tell you, it gets tiring real quick.
I could answer a question for you. You said you don't know how it works with the police up here in Ohio. Well,
Yeah.
Being an Ohio resident, I can tell you this. If a department gets enough calls about a particular house and it is owned by a landlord situation like Cyraxx's,
Yeah.
the city will force them to evict.
Bingo. There you go. That is an attorney speaking, or at least I believe he's an attorney. This is an attorney's channel. I believe everyone he has on the panel right now is attorneys, except for Michael Hacking. I don't think Michael Hacking is an attorney. And Michael, if you hear this and I'm wrong, sorry, dude. Not trying to, disparage you. I'm just not sure what you do, and I don't think you should put your occupation out there either.
Because that point, it's becoming a nuisance for the city.
But what if, I mean, how is if the tenant's not doing it, if the tenant is being called because of being they're being I understand exactly what you're saying, because I had mentioned that. I had said, the only way that the landlord could even get away with eviction is if she deemed it like a nuisance and the police had to deal with it too much. But is it really their fault if people are physically driving out there and confronting them?
I'm going to answer that before the lawyer does, and just to see if I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm going to get it wrong, because I don't edit these videos. I just do them ad lib and off the hip. So I don't think that it matters if they're directly responsible for the calls. They're a public nuisance because it's a constant waste of police resources, and it's the landlord, or excuse me, it's the tenant's responsibility, because the tenant is drawing negative attention from the community. And I guess you could say, in an analogous sense, just logically speaking, and we're just, as a philosophical argument, if you had a drug lord, or a drug dealer living 5 apartments down, and you watched him do, drug deal after drug deal after drug deal for an hour straight, and you've got small kids in the house, and you saw a couple guys with guns on their pants going in and get drugs, and you called the police because you felt threatened, and that happened over and over and over again, from different neighbors in your apartments calling the police. The police, they know they can't. They may not ever catch the dealer doing that because they don't ever keep their product on them, but they know that the person's a nuisance to the community and they're not wanted there. So in that sense, I do think it's completely on the tenant, because the tenant is drawing significant negative attention to the household. And, that's just my personal opinion, but let's see what this lawyer has to say.
They could appeal it in court, and again, Ohio
takes money, which they don't have.
Well, not necessarily, because it's not about the money here. It's the landlords have a lot more power in the courts than the tenants do.
Don't you think, though, if they just, the thing is that it's not criminal. It's stuff on YouTube, as far as the cops are concerned, it's not criminal. Until now, as they're physically there, they're actually stopping people that are there and getting names. But for the last 5 or 6 months, it's just been, these guys on YouTube are torturing me, and then they go and they watch the YouTube videos. And it's not like this kid doesn't, he called the Akron police out. He made a 2-hour video calling them a bunch of idiots, saying they were on the take. I mean, I don't know what to tell anybody. You know what I mean? I certainly, I had dumped out of this entire situation long ago, but this new group of these audio trolls that just, oh my God, it's so brutal. They just keep calling them, and all they do is berate them. They don't let them talk, nothing. It's the worst content on the face of the earth. But I keep telling them, I go, it's not the police's problem to get you handled on YouTube. All you got to do is a civil police report, and then you'll get you can get a TOR or something. Send that to YouTube. They'll shut those, they'll stop those channels or whatever. But you can't tell him too much, because he can't keep his mouth shut. And believe me, everybody loves to freaking torture anybody that seemingly helps them, even when they don't realize how much damage they're doing to the community. These nitwits.
Yeah, and my thing is, what if somebody did that to them or their fame? I mean, it's just, why? I mean, I don't understand. I know Cyrax is a horrible person, and there's a certain amount that he deserves, but when is enough too much? I mean,
Right.
I just don't comprehend it. It's just.
I agree. I agree with you. And I've always said this. I go, look, if you want to play devil's advocate and say he's a horrible person, okay, then do something real about it. Don't torture him like a horrible person. Get people involved, like TCAP or somebody else. I mean, we have people like that around us. Most of us do have that. Marty does. I do. Let's get him in a sting. You keep coming here and telling me he's talking to 15-year-olds all night long in Fortnite. I'm 56. I don't know what Fortnite even is. Tell me where to set up. Tell me how to bag him. Tell me how to catch him talking to 14-year-olds. I would like to get the kid some psychiatric help, to be honest with you. It's quite obvious. He's horribly compromised.
Abby,
if anybody can't see that.
Yeah, I agree with hacking again. I keep saying, I want Cyraxx to take responsibility for his actions, but that Michael obviously has a direct relationship with Cyraxx, and he very well may be far gone mentally. And I'm not a shrink. I've seen one once or twice when I was younger. Yeah, I agree with hacking. If he really is doing the pedophile stuff, get like a legitimate sting, or if like he is doing all this stuff, because all you're doing is wasting police resources with all this stuff, and especially as long as it keeps getting more intense, like eventually someone is going to get hurt. Like eventually, someone's gonna break into their house and Ed's gonna have a gun and shoot him, and then it'll be, a major situation. So I get where Ed's coming from on that, because eventually there's going to be an unhinged troll that could be, drunk as a skunk, go in there and, just be out of their mind and just be caught up in the moment, and someone ends up, seriously injured or dead. So I do agree with that as well.
What's going to happen to him when Sally dies? I know Ed ain't going to be able to take care of him.
No way. It's going to be over. He'll be a ward of the state, because he doesn't like people are like talking to me now, like after they're hearing like these conversations with him and how he sees a situation compared to what it really is. Like when he's screaming, they're outside attacking me. I go, what are they attacking you with? He goes, signs. I go, okay, well, sticks and stones. Don't look at the signs. Wait for the police. Why are you calling me? This is insane. So, you know what I mean? Like they're starting to, they're like, oh my God, like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. It's been like taking some of my brain cells away. I said, but you know what? That's the problem. When Sally is gone, this kid can't buy a can of soup. I mean, he has no concept of a bank account. I mean, nothing. I mean, he has nothing. He don't even have an ID. He has no possible concept of how to go on. He can't do laundry. He can't even take a shower, Artie. He has to soak in a bath that she has to draw for him. I mean, when he had that other stuff going on with his personal area, he's 33 years old. He didn't know what to tell the doctor. He had to have his grandmother handle him and do everything. And then she had to put the medication on him.
Yeah, I mean, I know Cyraxx is not that mentally incompetent, just from like his, like you have to be like a vegetable to be that incompetent. That's more of an environmental problem, in my opinion. I think he's been babied and not forced to grow up or learn or have any accountability for his actions for so long that that's just the state of it. And when I say Cyraxx needs to start taking accountability, maybe a baby step for him is learning how to take a shower on his own. That guy could be the beginning. But that's just pathetic. He doesn't even know how to talk to a doctor about a personal problem. I had no idea like it was that bad. That's crazy.
He's 30.
Isn't she actually his biological mother?
Yeah, yep. She actually truly is, and that's why I believe he's deformed.
Yeah, on one hand, I feel sorry for him, but on the other, with going after kids, it's just, at this point, I'm starting to think he needs to be a ward of the state and just
He needs
get him.
He does. He does. You know what? You know the whole story about like his high school, like his senior year in high school, and he was friends with this blind kid. The blind kid was feeling like he was leaning towards being homosexual, and I don't know, maybe Cyrax felt he was. There was like an incident. Nobody said really anything about it, but the other kid happened to be blind, and so I guess his urges took over a little aggressively, and so they kicked him out of school to keep the other kids safe. That's what the parents wanted. So bottom line is they called it assault. And
I mean, that I think Michael Hackins just intentionally not telling the truth there. I think it's one of those things where, Michael sometimes, like muddies the waters with, the public opinion on him, because I'm always going to stay consistent with my opinions on things, and I don't care if everybody agrees with me. In fact, I like it when people disagree and we can have a constructive conversation about things. Cyrax was like 23 or 24 years old, and the blind kid was... So Cyrax was for sure in his 20s. I want to say it was 23 or 24. I'm not great at like memorizing dates and years and stuff, like how old he was and all that. But I want to say 23 or 24. And blind Billy was like 15 or 16. Like I know where I live, that would be statutory rape, even if it was consenting and the parents found out about it and they didn't like it. So yeah, that was assault. That was sexual. I mean, it may not have been aggravated, and I'm surprised those guys aren't bringing that up. It doesn't have to be aggravated to be sexual assault. Like any sexual contact with a minor that's even if it's consenting, is still assault. Like that's just the way it works. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If blind Billy was a minor and Cyrax was a full-grown adult, even though he wasn't fully mentally developed, that's still assault. So I don't agree with you on that, Michael.
When he left school, that was it. He never went back, never finished. And I'm convinced, and I'm not sticking up for him in one way or the other. Believe me, I'm not, because he has no concept of relationships. He's never dated a woman in real life. It's all these e-girls. But I think that he is stunted from that high school experience. And it's not that he is attracted to younger girls. I think that he doesn't have the comprehension level to talk to anyone that talks older than that. That's what I believe. And that's why he...
Basically, his maturity mental level is at a middle school to freshman, maybe a sophomore in high school.
Yep.
What
it really is.
Hearing.
It really is.
He's got himself stuck at that mindset of a adolescent.
Yeah, he does. And I mean, like somebody sent him a YouTube silver play button. Like they thought it would be a joke.
I've seen that.
These things are the worst because you're never going to get that out of his head. You think you could get Akron Fire Department in the jaws of life. You'll never pry that thing out of his hand. He thinks that getting kicked off of YouTube 12 times, he thinks that somebody talked YouTube into believing that he was wronged on all those accounts. And since every account had 1,000, 2,000, I mean, the math doesn't even work. Even if he had 20 accounts with 2,000 subscribers, that's not 100,000 subscribers.
No.
I mean, come on. It's, you know what I mean? But you're never gonna, you know what I'm saying? And so it's things like that that make him believe that he really is this like powerful artist. But you can see the way that he like does his little concerts, and like every time like any like internet game or PC game, like Forza Racing, like Ken Block guy. He no more knows Ken Block than the man on the moon. But he's like, I met him in a new user forum, and he took me under his wing and showed me some moves. He's crying, talking to the widow and the daughter, and acting like it's his family. I mean, he is broken. He's like a little kid. He's a total little kid. If you talk to him, The second he's not talking, as soon as you try to inject something, he literally just pulls the shifter and starts driving in his little race game. He has no attention span to listen to anybody. Nothing.
Yeah, I think that's something where he needs medication. Like I knew guys growing up, like I still, like, to this day, I've had a friend of mine from, oh Lord, I've probably known this guy since I was 5 or 6 years old. He didn't get his first job until he was like 21 or 22. He was just bumming it at his mom's house because his dad had died when he was like a teenager, and like they gave him Social Security until he turned 18 or graduated from high school, whichever one came second. So he just dropped out of high school and got like Social Security till he turned 19 years old. And his dad was a doctor, and he was a doctor in the U.S. Army, so he didn't have a lot of money, but he made enough money to where he was like getting a significant Social Security paycheck for a teenager. Like it wasn't like Cyrax's $800. He was getting like a sizable Social Security income paycheck for a teenager at the time. And he didn't have medical insurance until he turned 30 years old, and he got back on Adderall, which he had not had since he had been 15 or 16 years old. And this guy dropped out of high school because he couldn't pay attention and focus, and because he liked having the money from Social Security. He's like, why do I need to work? And for the first time in his life, like he got his life together. He got a real job. And his social anxiety got better because his life improved. So I think there's a significant part of that is mental health, and medication could resolve some of Cyrax's issues. And once some of them get resolved through medication, others will naturally start to improve on their own, like the hygiene and the ability to just take care of himself in basic needs. Like if he could focus, he might be able to learn how to do laundry. I firmly believe that. So like, it's sad, but I think that's just the way it is.
It's crazy,
man. I think it's at a point where he needs to be a ward of the state. Hey, Sally, you can kiss that $800 or whatever it is goodbye. Learn how to deal without it, and it'll make your life a lot easier, and you'll probably be better off financially too.
Yeah, dude, you wouldn't even believe, because like Sally, she was freaking all out because the landlord was pissed, and I'm like, Sally, the landlord can't penalize you for something you're not doing. And then she calls me on her phone, and she's like, no, you don't understand. I get this house for $550 a month. Heat, hot water, utilities, oil, everything included. I pay for nothing else.
Damn.
And she goes, if I lose that, then I'm in trouble. I go, wow. I go, $550 for a freaking house with all the utilities included.
Yeah, that's insane. But that's just another reason why I think they need to get Cyraxx out of there. Like, get him in a group home, get him in touch, like get in touch with like the state to get him some kind of means to assist him in getting some kind of help working. Like, I know where I live, a buddy of mine went blind last year. He's well into his adult years. He was a victim of a crime, and it's permanently blind as a result of it. Fully 100% blind. Can't see, the sun if it's right in front of him. And the state provides, and this guy just learned about it, the state provides a program for him to go and get skills to get back in the workforce. And this guy was normal before, and he's like ecstatic about it. I guarantee you there are programs or different things available if Sally took the time to look into it to get Cyraxx out of the house. I guarantee you there's things that can be done. Whether that's a ward of the state or some type of program for slow individuals, or some kind of job training program. There has to be something. I'm just not buying this whole thing where she's getting the place for stupid cheap, which, yeah, she probably is getting. I'm not totally going to discount the $550 a month thing, but I kind of feel like Sally has made him more disabled over the years, so she can leech off that $800 disability check for as long as humanly possible. And now that there's consequences to having him around because she can't control him any longer, she's so old, it's biting her in the butt. I think this is similar to the Chris Chance situation, where at the very end, Chris, slept with his mother, like forcefully, like that. That's the type of situation. It's a different situation, but it's the same thing. Like Chris Chan's mother got so old where she couldn't handle Chris anymore, and I think the Cyrax situation is getting to that point. Cyrax has got to go, and like everything Michael's saying on here is just reaffirming my belief in that.
Jesus.
That is a gold mine up here.
Of course it is, but you see how, like, there's no concern about Ed having a stroke or even her. I mean, nothing, or Cyrax getting, like, beat up or anything. It's just she don't want to lose the house with the rent, which I can understand. Believe me, nobody understands more about, like, the finances and cutting it close and stuff. Like, I totally get how that's a huge fear for a lot of people, but I mean, they do. I mean, she gets the Social Security, she gets Cyrax Social Security. Ed works a real job. He's got to make $200-300 a week. I mean, how little can you make at a job? And they get food stamps. That's $468 a month.
Yeah, I think this is 100%. Like what Michael's saying is totally true. Lose the Cyrax paycheck. I mean, lose the Cyrax Social Security check. You still got Ed working. She's still getting a full check from the government plus food stamps. It might be a little less without Cyrax there. But if you're only paying $5 something for rent a month, and you're bringing in, let's say she's bringing in $1,000 on her Social Security check because she's like over the age of 60, and she actually worked, she put into it, and then Ed is bringing in at least $200-300 a week, like Michael Hacking said. Like, how little can you actually bring in when you're working? They should be able to live off that. Like, why do they need Cyrax's government check? Like, they don't go on vacations or do anything where they'd be taking advantage of it and really needing that, and they'd have less expenses without Cyrax around. Like, how many times do they have to go and pay for something to get repaired, or pay for bail, or pay to have tires replaced on a car? Like, that stuff has to cost more than that the Social Security's worth. Plus, you got to feed them and clothe them. Like, all that's that cost more than a Social Security check. I don't understand the logic in keeping him around.
I mean, what else? I'm sorry, but like I budget better than that. For Christ's sakes, you know what I mean? I got my shit paid off, but like, still.
I think the real issue is the fact that Cyrax, and again, I don't want to, beat a man when he's down, but he's kind of bringing it on himself when he's.
Oh yeah. No, I listen. I completely agree. What really bothers me. It's not what they do, like how they keep going at him. What bothers me is when they're like, well, then we'll just go to his landlord. It's like, to me, that's such a puss move. It's such a puss move. Like, you know what? Like, really, if this kid is so devious that you can't get him to do what you need him to do, really, like, then you, I think, are the one that's mentally challenged. Because if you've got to literally threaten his landlord by calling her every hour all night long for 3 days. Did you know that when he got arrested, they started bombarding the courthouse judge's office with calls? That's how these nitwits think. I go, what do you think that's going to do for Cyrax? You think that's going to hurt him or you? I mean, what exactly, Artie? When is enough? And then I told William Gloryhole. He was like, "What?" I go, "Yeah, I'm just letting you know, big dog. So maybe we can like pull the reins back a little bit on these guys. They're a little too enthusiastic here. If they're calling the courthouse and calling the DA and calling the friggin' everybody, Jesus.
Yeah, that's why I'm making these videos when I report on Cyraxx. I want to get the opinions and views of different people, different groups. I want to hear the thoughts of everybody. Like, I may put my opinions and thoughts out there, but I want to hear from other people. And these guys, like Uncle Artie, he's over here talking about like Supreme Court laws and frauditors and sovereign citizens. He's not involved with the Cyraxx thing at all. This guy's just a lawyer, and he just does YouTube for fun. Like, I just started doing this out of the blue because I was bored one day, and I'm shocked people actually find my videos and what I have to say interesting enough to listen. I think it's humbling, that someone would actually want to listen to what I have to say. So if you guys don't agree with this and you guys don't want me doing more of these, just let me know in the comments. But I wanted to bring this specifically because these guys are not one of the trolls that we're accustomed to hearing from.
Yeah, just what out of all the frauditors, solicits, Cyraxx, it's just everything in between that. I mean, we're exposed to because we're all pretty much we all run similar circles and all that and everything. It's just, I think the saddest story to a point is Cyraxx, but then again, Cyraxx has been allowed to run around, do this stuff, and he's been having his feet held to the fire for it. And he should to a point. But then again, when is social services going to kick in and do something for the betterment of him and for society, mainly society?
That's the scariest part because you know what? The state police and social services got triggered and came in. They've made 3 visits there, and Sally says they didn't even leave a card to call for help. I said, "Oh, I don't know what to do for you guys." I said, "Can't help you." I mean, either you guys are just like the dumbest family on the face of the earth, but there's nothing anybody can do for you. I mean, seriously, here's a good example of how off he is. Okay, it's called PBBS in Ohio, their social services like network. He got done with that and thought that he was having a PBS special about bullying on YouTube filmed about him.
I'm torn between, he's a piece of crap in real life, but on the other hand, too, it's just like, when does your morality take over and say, I just can't attack the guy like the way other people do and make fun of him on YouTube more than what I already do. I mean, my stuff was like over a year ago.
Right.
And I know.
Yeah, I mean, look, I maybe I even go like way hard on him, you know what I mean? But again, I'm not going to pick up the phone and start calling people off of YouTube, doxing them, like putting out their like really graphic information about them. I mean, these guys are releasing, and it's sad, but some of them are pretty savvy and getting records and stuff like that. I mean, Jesus, I mean, it's
doxing's too far.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. They put all my medical records out there. They put friggin' tax liens, things like that. I go, whatever. I don't give a shit. You think I care at my age? Do whatever you want.
I can't give an explanation for why people are doxing people, but the stuff against Cyraxx, that the calls to the police, the protests, the showing up in the destruction of property, giving away property, a lot of that I blame on this newer generation of internet clout chasing.
Yeah,
I fully agree with that too. If I get 1 view on a video, I'm happy with that. I'm like kind of appalled at how much doxing. What's going to happen if you go and dox his landlord? Like, I know some people disagree with that, and like you can feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below if you listen to this and disagree with it. But I don't understand it either. I'm not even that old. Like, I remember when the iPhone came out. So I'm old enough, I didn't have one. They were too expensive, but like I remember like all those technological changes. Like I remember like when our family got our our first pager. Like I'm old enough to remember that stuff, and I've changed with the internet. I'm not an expert at everything on it, and I don't understand the doxing stuff. I don't understand sending SWAT to people's homes. I don't understand what people plan to accomplish with all that. Um, to an extent, I understand it with some real deplorable people that have done really messed up things on the internet. I can kind of understand it, but just for disagreeing with somebody, I don't get it.
You know what? I actually was looking when I actually first started getting into Cyrax, like almost a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's called de-individuation. It's when you start getting part of a larger group, you start getting less fearful of consequences, and you get more endorphins from rage than you do happiness, and you start acting out, and it's almost like mob rules mentality. Baylor did a study on it. It's crazy.
I consider it more of akin to the issues of, like, have you ever heard of a person known as SWAT Tactic?
No, I haven't.
He was one of the most infamous swatters of people, to the point where he thought he was so good at it that he would take hits out on Twitter for people. He cost a man his life because two rival e-gamers hired him.
Yeah, when West Springfield came here, again, I talk to them all the time because of the tactical commercials I make. So sometimes there's guys running around and like tactical gear and red dots. So like I don't want anybody calling on me. So I'm always talking to them. But they actually told me that somebody from YouTube did a SWAT prank I got hit February. So I got hit February of this year. When they came out, they said that the week before that somebody from YouTube had just done another one, and the guy got shot and killed during the thing because of the way they set it up. With they said there was a kid being beaten, so they didn't like storm the house. They just brought a detective, and they actually knew who I was. So
but a lot of people. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to say, don't you think that's too much?
Oh, it's way too much. Because the issue with swatting is it does actually violate a U.S. law, a federal law. But the real issue is the police aren't really savvy on internet law. Internet crimes are really back burner.
There's not enough laws out there to really protect people. Eventually, it's going to get to a point where they have to do it. It's just lawmakers don't know enough. They don't pay attention to the real world until somebody popular and famous, like a celebrity or one of their own, happens to them. It's not going to happen because they don't give a shit about people like us.
Yeah. I think the disconnect too is the terms of service inside of YouTube. You can basically do all this stuff inside of YouTube. You can make videos calling somebody a PDF file. And you don't have to be right. I mean, it's all opinion. But once you get off YouTube, it's not. And that's the problem. So when people see it off YouTube, court systems are like, well, that you can't do that. But they don't realize on YouTube, oh, yes, you can. And YouTube really has no system to really enforce this until you've got like literally like hundreds and hundreds of like whatever, the one channel that was enamored with me that would make video after video. It took them actually stealing and impersonating my entire Life Giant Films account and getting 8,900 views I didn't even know about before they took the channel down. So 28 videos, stolen valor, every other thing in the book, none of which was true, just blatant lies, stole all my wife's Facebook photos, which are not downloadable. They're all copywritten. My underage kid when he was in prep school, so my kid when he wasn't 18, and like all kinds of things, and made these disgusting videos with him, and YouTube did nothing. They would do nothing for me. If I could, unless I could prove copyright and make a claim, nothing as far as harassment, bullying, defamation.
Fishes.
And unless it's going to affect YouTube's pocketbook, they're not going to give a damn about anything.
Yeah, I know. And the other thing is they don't have enough people to really look at it and understand it. YouTube just copyright struck me on a short that I made. In a short, you can only pick music from YouTube. I put YouTube's music on it. It's YouTube's music. They copyright me, struck me for it. They put the music in the short.
I mean, here's something that YouTube did to me, and it makes no fucking sense. The streamathon last year we did for, the hype up of the signing of the...
I'm going to pause that. See, I'm going to resume when I can see if there's anything interesting that happens after this.
Guys are saying, like, it's all fake, but you don't understand. He's not smart enough to catch on. Like, literally showing his friends getting hit up in Discord for $500 payments so they won't come and shoot him like that week. And then they're like, nah, we're just coming. And then we're 8 hours away. We're 7 hours away. And this kid gets so wound up. He's calling me, Marty, whoever. He just starts calling. I'm like, dude, I can't do this tonight. Like, I have to get sleep. I can't wait till 5. And that's they're not in the United States. They're in Great Britain. So they're just laughing as they're just waking up. But he's up all night just waiting to see the increments, and then nothing happens. And then all of a sudden the next night, out of the blue, some guy like in a Taliban outfit is like in front of his house. And again, I completely don't argue with anything the guy did. What I was told, like in that instant, because I was in it as it was happening, was that there's 8 guys attacking his house. I mean, that's ridiculous. But I can't see outside his house. The videos weren't up yet. And then next thing I know, he's getting charges. I go, how can they press charges on you? 8 guys attacked you, you said. I mean, it's just, I don't, you know what I mean? But obviously you can see how like he's starting to unravel. And what scares me is that I don't think that I don't think anyone is incapable of doing something horrific if they're pushed far enough. And that is what I'm concerned about. And I think it's either going to be somebody, because even Marty said this to me. He said, I was never going to touch him. He said, but he goes, as soon as I saw him, it was like an adrenaline rush. He goes, Mike, I couldn't stop myself. I go, yeah, I noticed the like pink thong wearing guy. I said, I noticed you yoked him up in the air and freaking slammed him on the ground. I think the adrenaline, kicked in. So, I mean, that's the problem. Everybody might say, I'm not going to do nothing. I'm just going to wave a gun in his face, or I'm just going to wave a bat in his face. I'm just going to do this. But again, I don't, you know what? It's,
have you ever heard of the it's kind of cliche for me to say, but have you ever seen any of the media with Joker from like the 2000s Batman animated series?
Yeah.
Where he's talking to the guy who became Clayface. He's like, it just takes one bad day before you become the bad guy.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at earlier. All it takes is one thing to go wrong, and a trolling joke turns into something terrible, which is why I say I don't condone it. I'll report on it. I might find it entertaining, but you better believe I'm not going to feel bad if someone goes over there and gets, intoxicated, and they wind up in prison for doing something really terrible. I won't feel bad about that at all. There's certain lines you shouldn't cross, and we all have different ones, but that's my stance on the situation.
He goes, just one incident, one time, one bad day, whatever, and you're the bad guy.
And that's exactly what's going to happen with Cyrax if people keep pushing him. Like, I don't condone his actions. I think honestly he needs to be locked away, put in a mental hospital or a mental care prison of sorts, just where he can get proper care he needs, and he can deal with the punishments of his actions.
Well, not just that, but ultimately, the way I look at it, there's people that are even mentally more impaired than him that, they're wards of the state and they're taken care of. I think ultimately, once he's done with his paying his debt to society and all that stuff, they need to get him in there and some mental help. I mean, ultimately, just get him off the street unless it's supervised. All these people just once they do that, leave him the freak alone, and just move on to better pastures. And it just, I don't know. That's my opinion. But
you're right. You're totally right. I think he seriously needs psychiatric therapy or a therapist, because he has no concept of saying sorry and actually being sorry. That's what he doesn't understand. He thinks if you say you're sorry, then you are now never allowed to bring that subject up with him again. And if you do, his classic move now, he just completely spins it around and he projects it on you. That's why he's always screaming PDF file at everybody that fights with him, because that's why they're fighting with him. So it's not him. He's not even one now. It's Kate, it's Marty, it's me, it's my wife, it's Schmeckle Cat, it's all the trolls, it's CBG, it's friggin' Metal Gear Rax. It's they're the ones, not him.
I think.
Do these people do the same thing to people in high school, junior high? I mean, that's the picture I get is you take the bullying to an extreme. If it was a rapist, something like that, yeah, but this is Cyrax. I mean, it's just, there's only a point that you can only take it so far, but are you trying to get him to kill himself, or what is your ultimate goal? And why does Sally and Ed and everybody else got to pay for it? I mean, more than what they have to deal with Cyrax. I mean, I'm sorry, but he's that's karma hitting Sally and Ed.
Yeah, no, it is, because you know why? She was in the hospital like 2 weeks ago, and she had 2 strokes in like when she actually finally got there. And the long and the short of that is that if she would actually admit that he's creepy and he does creepy things, it's not just that people can get him, can lure him in with like an e-girl or like a chat room and get him to talk to somebody underage and not even pay attention to the age and immediately send D-pics or worse. But it's crazier things. It's like, like a guy and his wife trolling him will flirt with him. And then the first thing his mind will go to is send like a really, I'm talking like hardcore video that's just not right, using like styluses and Sharpies and all by himself. And, and it's just it's things that you wouldn't do with your cherished wife. I mean, I would never even think of this stuff. This kid he's I'm telling you, he's completely trapped in an adolescent brain that is stunted. And that's where, and Sally knows that. I mean, this kid slurps chicken noodle soup cold out of a can. And she, throws those stupid Starbucks drinks up to him all day long. The kid's got friggin' vascular insufficiency because he doesn't even get up anymore. He's 33 years old. I'm 56, and I'm just starting to get it right now. And this kid's already got it. That's why his legs are swollen and infected. He doesn't move. He's basically an inanimate object now. Freaking crazy.
Yeah, and how much of that is the result of being bullied and all that? I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm not justifying his thing. I'm looking at this objectively, taking aside me, thinking he deserves it or whatever. I'm trying to look at it as an outside person. Why? I mean, it's just, what are the consequences? Why are these people doing it? I mean, I'm sure I get wrapped up in the mob mentality of like, yeah, let's get Cyrax. Woo, yeah. Well, to a point. I mean, hell, look at my videos I've got on him. Yeah, hell, I've gotten wrapped up in it. And
Artie, it's the snap of humanity that comes back to you, because you still realize, yeah, the mob mentality of it's Cyrax, let's pick on him. But the humanity that's inside of you is like, this is a human being. Yeah. I want to try to help him. I've been there personally with Omaha Cop Watch. I've trolled Floyd in many of his live streams. At one point, I just broke this and said, look, dude, fuck the whole auditing thing. I'm worried about you as a human being of getting hurt. Stop. Do something else.
But yeah, see, I'm the same way too.
He's lucky he hadn't gotten killed by a cop.
Some of the people that try to attack me make pretty vigorous statements, and I go, listen, I don't know what's going on in your life, but you must have no love or no happiness or something, because that just sounds like a really hollow statement from somebody who probably doesn't see the outside of that very much. Listen, buddy, you don't got to try to make yourself feel better by saying bad things about me. I know who I am. Like, I feel bad for people that have to say those kind of things.
I mean, where's their accountability of it all? You know, I mean,
we're men talking about it, though. I mean, most of the people that troll him are like, 23 to 35, 45 to 50, watch it, and they're like, wow, hands over the eye emoji, but, you still know what's going on. I mean, these nitwits are still calling these people. I mean, can you imagine coming home and half the siding has been ripped off of your house? I mean, just think about how that would hit you. And you have nothing to do with anything except your son was friends with Cyrax in high school, so you got a note that says, sorry, you're a target too. That's collateral damage. So what happened? And that's
they try that shit in Texas. They did that here in Texas at night, somebody comes out with a gun, boom!
Oh, yeah.
Criminal mischief. Again, here it's castle doctrine. You're defending your property at that point.
Yeah.
During the daylight, they are not as tolerant about stuff like that. You can call the cops and blah, blah, blah. Yes and no, but when you're destroying somebody's house and all that, how do we know you're not going to going to set it on fire and I can't get my dogs and my kids and cats or whatever, and the woman or husband or whatever out the door in time because you did that. I mean, there's so many variables, but you need to be held accountable for that shit. Regardless of how you feel about it, at the end of the day, when you're breaking the law, regardless, you need to be held accountable of it.
Yeah.
For something like that.
If it just stays online and it's just online shit, I've got no problems with it. But when you cross that line of online to reality, I can't condone it.
Yeah. It's hard too because, if Sally, if they would just stop like trying to spit everything out in one sentence and explained it right. I mean, because they get every second of camera footage, you should hear them explain why people are coming to pick up Sally's car. The cops are like, well, why are you giving your car away? She's like, I'm not. Well, then why are people coming here to get it? Because they sent them. Who's they? But these guys from the internet. She hasn't gotten the guy's name right once in all fucking 100 phone calls. I mean, come on now. I mean, it's not that hard. But I shouldn't say that. Artie will probably kick my ass for trying to get him to be better, more prudent.
I mean, Sally could also go and state where the ads are. If they were doing that to me, I would at least, find the ads and I'd keep a watch out for them and notify the police, as they go up. But that's just me being a competent individual. But I'm pretty much agreeing with hacking on this, like a lot of this, and these two lawyers. I'm gonna skip ahead again, see if anything else interesting happens. All right, looks like I'm gonna call it there. There's a little bit of stuff here and there as it keeps going on, but I want to keep the focus, predominantly on Cyrax's situation. I'm sure a lot of you guys are not going to agree with some of my statements or Michael's, or some of y'all might. I love hearing y'all's opinions. I love the discussion that it causes. And I'm not going to go after you just because I disagree with you. So, yeah, feel free to leave your comments below. I want to hear them. I want to see them. Let's see what this discussion looks like. Thank you for watching, everybody. And thank you, Uncle Artie and Hacking for this great interview. It was great listening to it and giving my thoughts while y'all did it.